a dog, going around in circles. I'll just play it once more. Walking circles. That for me was a record-breaking experience. That was Luke, that's the name of the dog. He's quite old now, actually. He's in his 70s, 80s already, in doggy years. That was at a vet in Petaling Jaya. So lately he's been having a lot of issues, tremors, like fits, like a little mini stroke actually. He's been having mini strokes. So he's got epilepsy and seizures. So this is a neighbor's dog down the road, and I followed her. So there is a history behind this. Actually, Luke, what you see on that video is very gentle, and he's doing a little dog trot around the circle, right? He's doing that circle. Just like how horses do their little walks around the circle, they train in circles. That was what Luke was doing. He's very gentle on that screen, but there is a story behind it where he was actually usually in his house, he's very, very fierce. He's ferocious. He barks very loudly. He's very aggressive. He'll come after when he's at home. So what you saw there was a completely opposite version of Luke. So there are two sides to him. Hi, Elias. Welcome back. Okay, not on screen yet, you see? Okay, so I'll continue my story first, yeah? So there are two sides to Luke. One is that very aggressive side when he's at home. The other was what you saw on the video, very gentle. What happened one evening was my cat, I had 3 cats at that time. So her name is Little One. She ran into that neighbor's house, which is down the road at the far end. And when the cat ran in, so happened Luke was in the garden, and Luke ran after the cat, basically hunted her down, just like how a wolf is hunting prey, hunted her down and attacked her. Yeah, so there was a big rumbling in the garden, and she was killed in the process. So basically he murdered the cat in the garden in a very horrendous way. It was all gruesome. Yep, blood, he attacked her. Yeah, so it was quite a painful experience for my family, myself, yeah, and of course Luke's owner as well, because it's not something that should happen in a normal situation as domesticated pets. But of course, nature being nature, animals being animals, there is that side of nature where they attack, they go after their prey. Yeah, but there are also a lot of dogs and cats who are good friends, so that's just a one-off thing. Usually when they're domesticated and they live together, they can be quite happy together. But in Luke's case, because he's never had a cat friend, unfortunately that happened. It took us a while to get over that incident, because Little One is close to the family. She's like part of the family with us. Yeah, so it was a trauma in a way where it played in our minds. So for a while we had to get over that, yeah, and while taking into consideration that it's nature doing her thing. It's just part of nature. So we had to learn to train our mind to see it objectively and not to be attached to the situation. Why am I sharing this story? Yep, simply because when we have a voice of compassion and forgiveness, the most gruesome thing where a murder can happen, where there is a lot of anger, a lot of unforgiveness, a lot of negativity, right? It can be overcome. The voice of love and the voice of forgiveness and the voice of compassion. It can be. So there are two conflicting characters here. One is of hostility, the other is of love. Two sides, duality, but coming from the same subject. which was a dog and a cat living in the same neighborhood that got attacked with not a happy ending. But that's the subject with two conflicting characters. We can have anger, but yet at the same time, if we learn to use our voice of compassion, it becomes love and forgiveness. So I'm sharing that story because that was record-breaking for me. I can actually bring Luke to the vet. Luke is okay with me. He's not fierce in that video, yeah. And we actually did a little trot around the vet, you know, so there was that little circle play. That to me was quite amazing, yeah, because it's not an everyday thing. You don't usually be friends with your enemies, so to speak, or make friends with someone who has hurt you and still do beautiful things like that, where you can run in the circle with them, you can play with them. I even carried him into the car, I sat next to him, you know. So these were eventful moments for me, and that I think is a story to be shared, because everyone can do the same. Sometimes in life we meet some not so friendly people and some who are quite nasty, in fact. But with the voice of compassion and forgiveness, we can change that whole situation around. It becomes the other way, which will be a place of love. Hi, Elias. Yes, we lost you there for a little bit. So I was just telling the story of the world record-breaking event for me this week. Last week we had 13 dogs skipping rope. Yeah, my world record-breaking event this week was the voice of compassion and the voice of forgiveness for a dog that killed my cat, you know. So it was quite an event for me to understand, to learn, to overcome, to be objective, to not be attached to the past, but to move on to the future. Yeah, and because of that, I was able to be friends with this dog and bring him to the vet. So I don't know whether anyone else here, Zarif or Elias, have a record-breaking moment this week. It can